been fortunate enough to watch the breastfeeding journey up close twice with two different mothers of my children, right? And I have witnessed the shame, the fear, the tears, the anxiety, the overwhelm because the milk doesn't come or the latch doesn't work. When your baby is screaming and screaming and screaming for food and you feel broken, you feel defective, you feel like you can't show up as a mother, like, what am I doing wrong? It's a really difficult thing to see a woman go through. And now we know that alcohol actually suppresses milk production.
In an English country garden. They tell you to cut down when you're breastfeeding. They say 1 or 2 won't hurt. But if you drank a pint and then expressed breast milk into a bottle, would you hand it to your baby knowing what's inside? Because here's the truth. Your breast milk is now a glass of wine. Hello, everybody. My name is Lee Davey. Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol free as fuck. And I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. This week, ladies and gentlemen, is World Breastfeeding Week. And I want to challenge one of the most dangerous myths still circulating out there. That drinking alcohol while breastfeeding is safe as long as you cut it down a little bit. Cut down or stop. Why are those two choices even presented side to side when we're talking about this issue? Let's imagine for a moment the advice was about cigarettes. Would they say cut down to 1 a day and your baby will be fine? Of course not, right? Because we know that cigarette smoke harms infants and we treat that risk with the gravity it deserves, but not alcohol. And here's why. It's the liquid lie again, ladies and gentlemen. I keep banging the drum, bum, 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 but it's important that I do because the belief that alcohol is normal, manageable, even healthy, unless you're a quote unquote alcoholic, that lie allows society and even the health industry to say to breastfeeding mothers, drink if you want, just space it out a little bit. But what if they simply said, don't drink? I'd understand the softer advice if we were talking about people who couldn't stop drinking, if it were aimed at people labeled with alcoholism or alcohol use disorder or alcohol addict or whatever name that the health industry is going to put on those type of people today, right? But it's not. This advice is aimed at everyone, all mothers, and it's based on the flawed belief that unless you have a diagnosed problem, alcohol isn't a problem for you. And that is a lie because alcohol is deadly, especially when you consider what's at stake for the mother and the child. I've been fortunate enough to watch the breastfeeding journey up close twice with two different mothers of my children, right? And I have witnessed the shame, the fear, the tears, the anxiety, the overwhelm because the milk doesn't come or the latch doesn't work. When your baby is screaming and screaming and screaming for food and you feel broken, you feel defective, you feel like you can't show up as a mother, like, what am I doing wrong? It's a really difficult thing to see a woman go through. And now we know that alcohol actually suppresses milk production. It makes an already stressful, emotional, and vulnerable time even harder. So why do it? Here's what gets me the most. So many people go the entire length of their pregnancy, 9 months or more, without touching a drop of alcohol. And they do it because they know that alcohol can harm their baby. They do it because society expects them to do it, because it's instinct, because it's love, because it's protection. But the second that baby leaves the body, the narrative changes. Congratulations, you've given birth, time for the drink, you've earned it. How long's it been? 9 months? What? The baby still needs you. It still feeds from you. It's still learning from you. It still mirrors you. So why do we stop protecting them the second they're born? Why is there so much education around fetal alcohol syndrome, but almost none around breast milk alcohol exposure? And we haven't even talked about role modeling. We know psychology tells us that children imitate what they see. There is no more powerful influence on a child's future alcohol use than watching their parents drink. So even if it's not in the milk, it's still in the room. And that is enough to shape a young child's life. Okay. That's enough for now. We're just going to go on a little break. And while you're on the break, reflect on this. If you loved your baby enough to stop drinking while pregnant, why wouldn't you continue that love while they're feeding at your breast? Why do we let a culture addicted to alcohol tell us it's fine? Think about that, and we'll be right back. If you're pregnant, if you're planning to have a baby, if you've just become a mum, then this is for you. You already know the pressure, and no doubt you already feel the responsibility to protect, to nurture, to raise tiny humans into someone who outlives, outlasts, and outprospers you. And to do that, you need clarity, calm, and consciousness. But if you've got inner conflict, if one part of you wants to stay alcohol-free and another is begging for relief, if you're using wine to soothe your shame, your guilt, and your exhaustion, you're not broken and you're not weak. You are living with 1,000 competing messages inside your head. Please let Strive Foundations help you untangle them. It removes the noise, the ambivalence, the chaos, so you can come home to the one truth that matters. You were made to love, to nurture, to lead, to model strength and grace for the child you brought into this world. If you're ready to step into that, free of alcohol, free of fear, join Strive Foundations today. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. And before the break, I asked you to reflect on a question that few people dare to ask out loud. If we are so focused, if we are so worried about what alcohol is going to do to this tiny little fetus that is growing into this beautiful baby inside our body, why do we stop thinking about what alcohol is going to do to our child at the moment of birth? Let's dive into a little bit of science. Here's how alcohol affects breast milk. Alcohol enters milk at nearly the same concentration as your blood, and it peaks 30 to 60 minutes after drinking, or 60 to 90 minutes if you've had a bit of grub. And one drink takes about 2 hours to clear, 2 drinks, 4 hours, and on and on and on, right? What happens when your baby drinks that milk? Well, they sleep less, they cry more, they become more agitated. They'll feed less, up to 20% less, because alcohol inhibits prolactin and oxytocin, the hormones that actually drive milk production and release. And you might not even notice, but they will. Animal studies show reductions in brain and body weight, and human studies show developmental delays with repeated exposure. So again, I ask, why do it? If you're struggling emotionally, I get it completely. Postnatal period is rough. But alcohol doesn't make it any better. It just makes it worse all around. It adds to shame, to sleep deprivation, hormonal chaos, emotional exhaustion. It makes you less present at a time when presence for that little child is absolutely everything. And that's at the core of it. Our children need our presence, not our wine breath. They need to feel safe in our nervous systems, not jolted by our jitters. And they need to lead us to model calm, not chaos. You've already proven you can stop. This is one of the crazy things I find about childbirth. There's so many women that come to me, they cannot stop drinking. They think they need this thing. They get pregnant, they stop for 9 months, no problem, and then they start drinking again. That is something worth exploring, right? Maybe it's because you did it out of love. Who knows? But if it is, let that love continue. Not because someone tells you to, but because you are alcohol-free as fuck and you are living a self-led life. Today's daily vow. Today I will not drink. I will remember that love doesn't end at birth. I will protect my child not just from what enters my womb, but what enters my bloodstream, my nervous system, and my home. I will be the calm that they co-regulate with. I will be the mirror that shows them what safety and strength looks like. This isn't about shame. This is about truth. The liquid lie says you need alcohol to survive motherhood, but the truth is, motherhood is the proof that you don't. So all I have time for today. I know that was a very difficult episode for many of you who are probably drinking while you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding. And it's really important that you take everything on board, take a breath, take a pause, and then just reach out for help. Okay? We're not saying you go from drinking consistently to stop. You don't have to do that. But if we can help you to reduce, and then eventually stop at some time or not, but reducing Every little drop that doesn't go into your mouth is going to help you and it's going to help your child, right? Similarly, when the child is born, don't underestimate now they're out of your body that they seem all strong. Don't forget who we're raising and what they're going to be like when they're older, right? Like, it's really important that if we want them to drink responsibly, I would say, because it would be very unlikely that they never will. If we want them to drink responsibly, we have to mirror that, right? We have to mirror that. So feel free to reach out if you need any help. If this episode did help you at all, though, please rate and review the show and email me at thestrivemethod@gmail.com if you want to learn more about the Strive Foundations, or just go to www.thestrivemethod.com/foundations. Okay. All right. You ready to take the sovereign vow with me? One on your heart, one on your chest. Big deep breath. Repeat after me. I am a striver who is alcohol free as fuck, and I will not drink because that is not what I do. That is not who I am. Until tomorrow, much love and strive on.